People don't buy products, they buy new identities. People will screw this up with marketing all the time. They try to tell you all about the benefits of their product, the features of their product, but no one gives a crap about the product. So we all have a baseline of actual happiness. How do we increase it is actually fun enough by not trying to pursue anything. If life was easy all the time, you'd actually be depressed. What you need to do in order to have a lot of people actually really love you inside with you, you've got to piss off a lot of people. Two people that as soon as I mention their names, everyone's going to have an emotional reaction to it. Andrew Tate, Donald Trump. These two people are extremely polarizing. If you're not for something, then no one will be for you. But then most importantly, and if people can figure this out, this is where their $1 million lay.
We're going to be live. Hey guys, really excited to be here with Morgan Nelson today. If you don't know him already, then you need to know him. He's going to share some ridiculous gold with you guys today. So Morgan has created, I would say, probably one of the biggest in-person personal development events in Australia. I don't know if you can call it a conference because it looks like more of a party than a conference.
Festival, yeah.
It's like a festival. So Dreamfest, really cool. He brings some of the biggest brands to his stage. I know next week Dan Martell is going to be speaking. He's interviewed some really awesome people in his podcast like Ty Lopez, and he's built a really awesome brand. And I don't know how long it's taken, but I feel like you've done it in a pretty quick amount of time. And so I'm super excited to have you here to be talking all things about how he's built his brand, marketing, and also just how to rewire yourself for success, which is basically how you built your business, right? Like helping people rewire themselves for success. And so welcome. I think I'm going to start with tell us, because you have built like a really big brand, you've built this amazing event, which is massive, this festival. How long did it take you to build Dreamfest to what it is now?
Yeah, this is a good story to unpack because this is our 4th year doing it. And I will share the story of the one event that we never speak about. We have this rule where like any of my team or anyone who's there, we're not allowed to talk about that event because it still gives me PTSD to this day. But essentially, I just had this big idea one day. I'm like, I want to create this big event. I want to get all these speakers, create this big movement. And I was so excited by it. And I did the whole ready, fire, aim. It's what I do for everything. And I went and booked a huge space for the whole maybe 500 or 600 people. We put out all these speakers and I thought they were going to tell everyone about it. And we are going to have hundreds of people there. And we had about 6 weeks to promote it. And I knew nothing about marketing. We didn't run ads. I thought it was going to be happening all organically. And what happened was the day before the event, we're looking at the numbers and we had maybe, I think 70 people or something who had got tickets to it. I was like, shit, that's a far off 600. And then the next, that night, what happened was we got hit here on the Gold Coast in North Brisbane by the biggest floods we had in like over a decade or something. And it came in that night. So the whole Southeast Queensland got destroyed that night. And it was so bad. The next morning I woke up for the event day and I'm looking outside and the rain, the flooding is so disgusting where I didn't even want to go to my own event. I was like, no one's going to want to leave their house. This is horrible. And then we had to go there. It was just horrible, right? But then to top it off, what happened was we had some of the speakers that couldn't even come because they got blocked in. We lost half the guests. So we had about 30 people actually come in person. But because I always have a plan B, I'm like, great, let's turn this on virtual. So we opened it up virtual and we allowed to have like about 30 people come online. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. And to top it off, I had someone who has a quite big name in America. He's a wannabe though, DMing me personally the days before, threatening to sue me because I took his name of the event and all this stuff and like blasting me on his social media. And it was just crazy, right? And this is my first, and I'm just trying to run an event and change some lives and stuff. And now I'm getting like, I'm gonna sue you and all this shit. So that event we didn't really talk about. It was horrible time. But what happened was that was in that was in I think March 4 years ago. And as soon as we finished it, people were like, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna draw out what worked, what didn't work, why it didn't work. And if it ever happened again, how would we put something in place to make sure it didn't happen again? And then I relaunched an event I called Dreamfest. We ran Dreamfest the first year in September that same year. Everyone thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to change it all. And we went from this absolute piece of shit event to the first Dreamfest was pretty amazing. It was a whole one day, and we had maybe 200 people there. It was really cool. I loved it. And then everyone's like, "What about next year? When's next year?" I said, I guess, yeah, I guess we'll do it next year." So we did it another year. Then we went up to about 320 people at next year. We had James Smith come speak at it, who is a big online personal trainer. And then we did last year, we climbed to about 350, 380 people in the room. We had Andrew Bustamante, the ex-CIA spy, come speak at it, Daniel G, sales trainer. We went to 2 days last year. And then this year, we've just blown it out of the park. Like my team has just crushed it. And we are nearly completely sold out of every single ticket. We sold out everything last week, actually. Um, so we had over 800 tickets sold last week. But then I negotiated with the venue and I said, "Can we change every single seat out? And I'm gonna pay and get new seats to come in that are this much smaller so we can fit in 40 more chairs." And that's what we did. So we opened up 40 more tickets this week. And I think we're probably about sold out again. And so we've opened up a virtual option now because everyone had been asking us. So this year, I think will be the first year we'll probably have over 1,000 people, both in person and online. So it's just crazy. So it's taken 4.5 years to get to this. And every time we do it, I always say to my partner, I'm like, this is the best and worst day of the year every year. Every year we go in, we're like exhausted. But it's just that's what it's about, trying to put on something just so big that doesn't really happen. There's nothing like this in Australia, I know.
Mm.
And now that Russell Brunson isn't doing ClickFunnels funnel hackers anymore, apparently, I guess that's what we're trying to replace. So just trying to create something for all the entrepreneurs to really grow their mindset, but most importantly, grow their
Yeah.
skill set so they can, grow their businesses, make more money, make more impact and income, but have a lot of fun at the same time. So we bring DJs and parties and all of it. So yeah, so to answer your question, 4 years is definitely not an overnight thing. And I feel like this year we kind of cracked the code now.
Wow. 4 years is still very, very impressive. Very impressive. Like it took me, this is really embarrassing. I was online for 6 years before I had my first $1 million year. Like
That's it.
6 years
That's great.
not moving. Yeah, like that's pretty cool. But like 4 years, like that's like crazy. Like that's really, really impressive. How did you go? Because there are going to be a lot of people watching this, and maybe they don't want 500 people in a room or a massive, massive event, right? But they're filling events, whether they're online events, in-person events, like they're trying to fill a room, a small room. How did you go from completely failing and having this traumatic experience to later on that same year filling the room with 200 people?
What do we do differently? I think it's you got to look at what makes people actually want to come, and that's the thing. And so many people out there are throwing events, and you know, number one rule of marketing. Well, see, I'm not a good marketer, but I understand the brain. So if you can understand communication, if you can understand influence, it's about influencing. How do you give someone a message in a way that makes them want to, when they see it, think there's not anything else on this earth I'd rather be at than that. And the number one thing you need to do to communicate a message is you've actually got to speak to the unconscious mind. But nearly every single marketer out there doesn't know how to do that. How do we speak to the unconscious mind? What drives all human behavior is emotions, state. What if I can get you into a positive, confident, empowered state, right? I can get you to take positive, empowered, confident action. But if you're doubting yourself, if you're fearful, if you're confused, you're not going to take any action because a confused mind does nothing. And most people are out there trying to market their event and they're confusing the crap out of their people because in their head, they understand the vision. In their head, they understand you should be at my event because I'm going to share this amazing content. But they don't understand. What they hear is here's some weird event or some weird thing, person I don't even know, talking about something that I can probably get for free on YouTube. Why should I be there? Why should I give you my time and energy? It's never about the money. Because events are a tricky thing to get people to because they're not just buying time. So they're not just buying a product, right? They're buying with their attention. So it's not just about the money. You got to get them you got to convince them that they should spend their time and energy to give out their day, right? So it's a bit of a tricky thing. So you got to look at what drives human behavior and dive into their unconscious mind. We got to tap into what emotions are actually going to be driving somebody. So, and I know you want to talk about branding as well, so we can dive into all these things. But if you're going to understand what are the core motivators in someone's life, okay? So let me tell you what people get wrong usually. Let's say if I was going to if I was going to run $1 million group event and I was going to do it wrong, I would want to tell people, um, come to my $1 million group event. It's from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We're gonna be covering Facebook groups, why Facebook groups, how to do a Facebook group, um, how to make $1 million really, really quickly overnight, and all these sorts of things. And what's gonna happen is people are just gonna see that, and they're gonna see it's all logical. It's very logical. They're like, okay, cool. I know what it is now, but I don't know why I should be there. I don't know why I should get a babysitter for the day and be there. But if I was to reframe it and be like, and I'm just gonna make up something on the spot here. I'm gonna say, are you a coach who's struggling to crack $10,000 a month and finally create a life of freedom and impact? I'm here to tell you that all the other gurus online have been telling you the wrong way. You don't need a school group. You don't need a funnel. You don't need to DM 1,000 strangers a day. The number one thing you need is a Facebook group where they see you as the authority, where there's a lineup of people waiting to buy from you. Because wouldn't you rather wake up every day and have your inbox filled with strangers saying, hey, please take my money, than for you to have to go out there and DM 1,000 people every day? Because you really got into business because you want more freedom, don't you? So wouldn't it make sense to create something that's highly leveraged so you can do what I do? Work 1 week out of the month and make $1 million years from a Facebook group. If that's you, then hit the link below, because I'm going to be sharing something that I've never shared with anyone else before as to how to blow up a Facebook group with no ad spend so you can finally create that freedom business that you've been designing. There's only 10 spots available. Some shit like this. But,
Oh,
but all the things I put in are emotional triggers.
mm-hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
people will screw this up with marketing all the time. And what they say is they try to tell you all about the benefits of their product, the features of their product. But no one gives a crap about the product. They give a crap about the result. Usually, or not usually, actually always, the product is the bridge that gets someone the result. So I very often I never say come to Dreamfest, because Dreamfest we're gonna be, you know, you're gonna get this, this, and this. I say this event is for people who are really sick and tired of, one, struggling in their business, but number two, doing it alone. Business doesn't have to be boring. If you've been doing it boring, if you've been doing it struggling, if you've been doing it alone, if you've been trying to guess all yourself, then this is why you're probably suffering. Come and get around Dreamfest and surround yourself with people that are actually going where you want to get to. The number one thing that's going to help entrepreneurs get to the next level is proximity, because proximity is power. This is where it's going to be. So when you leave here, you get blah, 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 right? But I talk a lot about, if you want to make your business scaled in 2025, if that's your goal, then here's where you need to get to if that's what you want. And now it just creates like a logical, so like, well, that is my goal. Okay, then if that's my goal, then this is where I need to be, then cool, I'm gonna go there then. So I started communicating a lot more emotionally to people, and I started to unpack, what are they most afraid of? What are their deepest fears? What are they really frustrated with? But then most importantly, what is, and if people can figure this out, this is where their $1 million lay. Two things, actually. The first one is, what is the identity that they want to become? Because people don't buy products, they buy new identities. So what is this? What is the person they want to become? They want to become the millionaire. They want to become the six-figure earner. They want to become the work from home mum, or whatever that might be. What is the identity that they want to actually have? And how do we sort of craft the message in where by getting this thing, they're going to have a new identity in a way that feels safe for them. It's how they see their self in the future and how they can finally have this life. And the second thing is uh if you go to a dentist, let me tell you a story. I got Invisalign done a long time ago. And what they said to me, they go, before you get Invisalign, you need to get all of your wisdom teeth taken out, all four. I said, oh, why? And they go, because it's just gonna be a better job. I said, okay. And I went to the dentist, $1,000 per tooth, and also the most shittest dental surgery you could go through. So there was no pain at all there for me. It was only potential perceived pleasure. So if you go through, spend $4,000 and all this pain to go through it and the recovery, then you might have a better job. So I dwelled on that decision for like 6 months. I was like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Eventually I did it. I just bit the bullet and I did it, but it sucked and I didn't want to do it. But let me ask you a question. If the dentist had said to me, if you don't get these four wisdom teeth out right now, your mouth is going to get a massive infection and you probably risk having to get all of your teeth out. It's $10,000 to get the surgery done. If we don't do it now, you'll probably be in hospital next week because you have a big mouth infection. I'd be like, holy fuck, get it out. My God. So he gave me the potential massive fear that could happen. But even better, because probably still me, I'd be like, I'll wait till it starts to hurt. Okay, if I go to the dentist and my teeth is inflamed and I can't speak and it's in so much pain, and he goes, your wisdom tooth is playing up. We need to take it out now, and it'll get rid of the pain straight away. I would say I will pay you $50,000. Get it out of my face now. You see, you've got to discover what is the person's massive desire. What is that huge nail that they're currently sitting on? And what would they have paid money to have solved yesterday? Everybody has something. And if you can try and put this into your marketing and sort of say that by being at this thing, this program, by getting this product, this message, whatever it is, by getting this thing, this is going to get you that ultimate thing that you would have paid $1,000 to get fixed yesterday. And if you don't have this thing, then you'll be this other identity that you don't want to be. I mean, I'm giving away a lot here, but essentially that's some of the biggest things I sort of start to shift in our messaging and marketing. And again, like I'm not an expert marketer. I just understand how to speak properly to people.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
hope people are taking notes, right? Like writing heaps of notes in the comments, guys, right? People buy identity. That is so, so powerful. Your product, right? Your product is just the bridge. They want the transformation. What nail are they sitting on that they would have paid yesterday to solve? Like so, so good. And you keep saying you're like, oh, I'm not a good marketer, right? But I mean, I would argue you're an amazing marketer. Do you think because the front end of your business, right, you have done what probably most people in this group want to do. You built the front end of your business, helping people to change their thinking. And that's what most people in this group want to do. They're life coaches, they're health coaches, they're mindset coaches, right? And they want to build a business helping people to change their thinking. But you are very clearly obsessed, right, with the inner workings of like, what moves us to make a decision or what emotions are driving us. Do you think the fact that you're so obsessed with what's happening like in here is why you were able to grow so quickly with your branding and your marketing?
I would say definitely because the way I don't have something to draw on right now. But if people want to understand this, there's six areas, okay? And if we can understand this is what's going to drive our results. Number one, results is at the top, okay? So if we want results, everybody's here because they want results. They're in your group because they want to make $1 million from their Facebook group. That's the result. Underneath the result, you need to do a behavior, okay? Unlike some manifestation people out there say you can pray and hope and hold your crystals and do nothing and it happens. No, you do have to do something. You have to do some type of behavior, even if that is holding your crystals. You can do some sort of behavior that's going to get a result. But have you ever done a good result, gotten so have you ever done a good behavior, gotten a good result, so you did the behavior again? Yeah,
Yeah.
good strategy, right? Of course,
Yeah.
right? Did a good challenge, so you do it again. Okay, great. But have
Yeah.
you ever done a bad behavior before, gotten a bad result, and you did it again?
Probably.
Yes, I'll guarantee.
Yeah. I've
Right?
gone, yeah, sorry, 100%. Yeah, in many areas
Yeah,
of my life. Yeah.
yeah. Most people are like, what the fuck? So how come I
Yeah,
like that?
of
Okay,
course.
so when I started to understand this, I started to understand patterns in people. I'm like, how can somebody go do the same pattern again and they know what they're about to do is going to give them a bad result? Why do they do that? So I started to really dig into this, and I realized underneath behavior comes skill set. Okay, so skill set is the next one. So if people don't know how to run $1 million group, right? If they don't have the skill set for it, then they're only going to do a limited behavior, right? They gotta do limited potential, they'll get limited results. But if they say they come and work with you and they do your program, then they're going to learn this skill set of actually how to do better behavior. They'll do better behavior, they get better results. But then that's good. But the problem is most people out there are working on just skills, just skills, just skills. I need the skills, skills, skills. And this is why so many people in the beginner stages of their coaching business or any business come work with me. But also this is why people who have already made at least $1 million come work with me, because they realize everything will always rise and fall on what comes next. Because what comes underneath skill set is our beliefs, right? Our beliefs. If we have a belief that says, oh, but if I grow a big business, then people aren't going to love me, then guess what? You'll always, It's that's like hopping into a Ferrari, okay, but having a huge kink in the fuel valve. Doesn't matter. You're in a Ferrari, yes, but that Ferrari is not going to be firing correctly. And you're going to blame the Ferrari. What a piece of shit. It didn't work. No, 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 no. You're just holding the fuel valve completely kinked. But if you fix that fuel valve, it's going to fire correctly. And by having the right beliefs that match with our skill set, we can literally fire on all five, all six cylinders, eight cylinders, whatever, and do better behavior. But then underneath this comes our values, the things that are most important to us. This is what people come and spend 3 whole days with. We just finished a program here, the Dream Out Loud method. It's like my signature program. And we unwire all this crap in people's heads, their conflicts between their beliefs and their values. And then underneath that is identity. Okay, whoever we believe we actually are, our self-image, right? So you, Sarah, have the self-image of $1 million business owner. So even if Facebook deleted itself tomorrow, and you're like, oh shit, you would still bounce back and probably, I would guess, probably within 6 or 12 months, make $1 million business again. Because you're like, well, because that's your identity. You have the self-image of that. But the same thing can happen is, so if you lose money, you'll get yourself back up. But same thing can happen is if you expand too much past who you believe you are, you'll sabotage and you'll cut it back down as well. So you'll have to remind me of your question because I know I was going somewhere. I wanted to do a two-part thing here, but firstly, understanding yourself is going to be the number one reason as to why you succeed or why you don't succeed. Because if you have a negative self-image, if you see yourself negatively, and what I mean by that is you see yourself not how you actually are. You see yourself based off how you think other people see you, right? But it's often not actually accurate because reality is completely made up. Because we don't see the world as it actually is. We see the world as we think we are. And what's crazy is we don't ever actually question who we think we are because the brain craves certainty. So we won't question who we think we are, but what we'll keep doing is we'll keep acting in ways to confirm who we think we are. It's mental. So we won't question who we are. We'll keep acting ways to confirm that old identity because we'd rather be someone who we know we are than to take a step and be someone who we don't know who we are, even if that person who we're not yet is somebody that we actually want to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So understanding this fundamentally, I now remember your question. So the answer is absolutely yes. Understanding yourself and understanding human behavior is the key because when I teach people when I talk about scaling businesses, right, there's 6 pillars that we go through. Number 1 is mindset. I'm actually about to drop on my YouTube video. I sat down and it's about a 2.5 hour video going through the entire 6 pillars to scale to $1 million and beyond. It'll come out in a couple of weeks. But number 1 is mindset. We've got to have the right mindset. Okay. And when I say mindset, we got to have the right self-image. We need to have the right belief systems. So actually, 3 main beliefs we need to have. We need to have the belief that there's gold out there for me to find. So there is gold out there for me. Number 2, we need to have the belief that I can find the gold. And number 3, that me finding the gold is going to be worth the journey. If you don't have that last belief and you think it's going to come easy, then you'll give up. But if you have the belief that it's going to be worth it, then you'll go through, you'll fight for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to do it if you understand it's going to be worth it. So you need to have the right mindset. Next one is the right sales system, right? Sales. What's the number 1 skill involved with selling? Influence. Then the next phase is marketing. Once you make money in your business, you then put it into marketing and get better at selling. What's the number 1 skill you need for marketing? Influence. The next phase is operations. You start dialing your delivery system, the systems, the processes, all these things. What's the number 1 skill you'd need for that? Is knowing how to influence other people to build systems because most entrepreneurs are not that sort of minded people. The next skill is leadership. Once you start to build a system, you build a business that's selling, there's marketing, there's delivery happening, you start to build a team around you. What's the number 1 skill you need for leadership? Influence. And then the final phase of scaling is empire building. And when I call empire building, I'm meaning acquisitions, buying businesses, negotiations, doing deals, doing joint ventures, all these sorts of things. What's the number 1 skill you need to kill it in that? Influence. So do I think that really learning how to master my own mindset has helped in business? 100%. Because there's 2 people you need to know how to influence. Yourself and then other people. If you can influence yourself, you can influence other people, you'll write your own check every single day of the year.
But 100%. You know, that's actually how I got into sales. So I used to be legally mentally disabled. I had bipolar, a whole host of other mental health issues, and I got into sales. And of course, I was studying how to fix myself, right? Because I was cray cray. I was absolute cray cray, and I'm
Mm.
trying to figure out what's going on in my head and how trying to understand myself. And the better I got at understanding myself, then the more I understood other people, right? And then the more I understood other people, then the more I could influence other people, and the better I got at selling. So I love that. Do you? Because I know I do want to ask some questions, like some tactical branding questions and stuff, and audience growth, but this is probably going to seem really weird, but since you talk a lot about identity, like we won't act out of alignment with our identity, so a lot of what you do is really helping people to reprogram, like at a really deep level. And sometimes I'll be like, driving along in the car or whatever, and probably seem like a bit of a crazy person. But I really believe that, like, and I guess you would believe this too, that we can program our own identity. We can choose what kind of person we want to be. Like, do I want to be someone who has road rage? Do I want to be someone who's cool, calm, and collected when shit hits the fan? Like, do I want to be someone who leads with love? And we can hardwire in that programming and those behaviors so that eventually that does change who we are at our core, right? And then sometimes I have these thoughts like, oh, do I want to be this type of person or do I want to be that type of person? And then I'm like, oh shit, I have so much control over who I could be. Now I think I'm like sounding a bit wacky doodle here, but I really kind of believe that we do have that level of control over who we want to be. I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
If you don't have control, who does? Right?
Yeah.
So one of my friends, Andrew Bustamante, he used to be a spy for CIA. And he says to me, he goes, if you're not the one in control, somebody else is in control. Right? So in CIA, that's what they believe. They're like, if you are not in control of yourself, the conversation, the situation, the business, whatever, if you're not in control, somebody else is. So we absolutely do have, they've shown it through neuroplasticity, reprogramming, all these sorts of things. We can absolutely start to reprogram our minds. Like, take it from me. When I was 19 years old, I tried to take my own life. I was completely broke, physically, spiritually, emotionally, on every single level. And when I was 21, I found the online business world. I started a network marketing business. And I was so toxic and negative. I grew up in a boxing gym. So everyone around me was sort of just like negative and toxic. And because I was very small when I was younger and I was a good fighter, I used to get in a lot of fights. And so every single weekend would go out, would get in fights, I'd get arrested. My life was crazy. And then I found personal development at 21. And I never forget listening to Jim Rohn say, don't wish life was easier, wish you were better. And just that simple reframe, I was like, wow, that's interesting because I was blaming the whole world for my problems. I was blaming the world that it should be easier. It's not like this. Um, like I never had that support that I wanted growing up, all this sort of shit, right? And and that was just the sort of hit in the face I needed. It's like, stop wishing that life was just easier for you. Just actually wish that you were a better person. I was like, shit. Well, how do I become a better person? Right? Because I can't wish life was gonna be easier. Life's not gonna be easier. That's just life. It is hard. Life is hard, and then there's moments where life is really easy, and then there's life where it's hard again. And if life was easy all the time, you know what would happen? You'd actually be depressed because there's this thing called a hedonic treadmill, okay, where we all have a baseline level of happiness, and those who actually pursue just happiness are the most depressed people out there because they realize that the more happiness they pursue, they're happy for a moment, then they get let down again. Then they have to chase something else again, get happy for again, they get let down, and eventually they realize that unless they continually keep striving for something, they'll never be happy. Okay, I see a lot of high achievers, a lot of high entrepreneurs do this because ultimately there's this hedonic treadmill. We have a baseline based off our environment, our genetics, and our internal processing of how happy we can allow ourselves to be. Sure, we might hit a new milestone. Okay, we'll feel really, really happy for a day, 2 days, and then we'll eventually come back down. The same thing can happen is you lose a business partner, you have a setback or something, feel like shit for a few days, and eventually that feeling will just become normal and you'll come back to a baseline again. So we all have a baseline of actual happiness, but what we can do is start to increase it. How do we increase it is actually fun enough by not trying to pursue anything, is actually coming back to the present and being grateful. We can actually be grateful for the things that we've actually gotten and amongst many other things. But we can absolutely reprogram everything from the inside out. This is why I do hypnosis as well. So people, like we had people here the other day and I hypnotized a whole bunch of people on stage to completely believe that there were people who they weren't. So I went to the base level, identity level, reprogram someone's mind and be like, it was funny. I said somebody on stage, I'm like, you're a spy, but you're the world's worst spy, and you're trying to hide from everybody, but everyone can see you. And I said, come back in the room. And it's just ridiculous, right? It's completely somebody who he's not. I'm like, what's your name? He's a completely different name. He's doing, so the thing is, if I can hypnotize somebody to think that they're somebody they're completely not, well, that shows that the brain is so malleable and it's constructed off nothing but a feedback loop of who we think we've been in our past. So if I can come in and speak to the unconscious mind and tweak things and convince you you're someone who you think you're not, in that context, do you think I could also probably come into your unconscious mind and say, hey, you're not that scared little girl. You're not that scared little boy. You're not that fearful person, that unconfident person, that shy one. Who you are from this moment onwards is actually someone who's 10,000 levels of confidence. You are a millionaire business owner. You're a decision maker. You're an executive, right? Okay, come back. Like, what do you think that could do? Because what happens is when, I have a hypnosis recording, right? And people can get it from our Instagram and they can listen to it every single day to help them to start to rewire their mind to actually become millionaires. But how do we become a millionaire? We're going to start to change our beliefs and our identity. If I can change your identity to actually think and act like a millionaire, then you'll have the beliefs, the values, and the skill sets and the behavior that goes along with who you believe you actually are. So we can change whoever we want to be. And there is no free will as well. People think they have free will. There's no free will. And we can use that to our advantage to literally be whoever we want to be. And, even Tony Robbins says, we don't actually experience life. You experience the life you focus on. Because our focus will determine what feels real for us. Whatever feels real will go all the way back to that first thing I said. If you want to control anyone, it's about controlling their emotions. So things we focus on. So if we want to look at ourselves and be like, oh my God, I'm not good, or I'm this person, I'm the shy one, or I can't do this, then we'll experience that life. But in the same moment, we can go, well, actually snap out of that. What if we start to focus on the me who's confident and empowered, that's goal driven? Then we're gonna start to focus on behavior like that. It's gonna change how we feel about ourselves. We can change our behavior, change our results too.
Love it. I love it. Guys, I don't know if you heard because Morgan was just dropping so much gold in there, but he said that he had a hypno recording to rewire your brain
Yeah,
to success, right? So it's on his Instagram, but you can comment hypno as well, and we can get you the link if you don't have the link for his Instagram.
yeah. So if they go to my Instagram, Morgan T Nelson, you'll probably put it somewhere.
I'll put
Um,
it there for sure.
hit follow and then just DM me the word hypno,
Yeah.
HYPNO. We'll send you the link. And it's a millionaire mind. I created this millionaire mindset hypnosis recording for myself years ago. Um, because I was like, what if I could I'll tell you where it started actually. I was going through an interesting period of my life where the chapter I had to really work on self-love and self-esteem. And when I started to do it was I'd get these self-love affirmations of my phone and I just put on my phone under my pillow at nighttime because I understand my unconscious, I'm asleep consciously, but my unconscious mind's always on. And that's what has to get reprogrammed. And I started to see my life transform within weeks. And it was crazy. I was like, holy shit, what if I could start to actually use more of the skills I actually have? And I intentionally done this and I created a recording to reprogram my mind to think and act like a millionaire. And that's what I did. So I created this program for myself and I didn't give it to anyone for only until a few months ago. My team were like, can we give this out? I said, I guess, yeah. It's helped a lot of people. So I use this to myself almost every single day still.
I love that. I love that. So DM him Hypno or comment or something. We'll get you the Instagram so that you can DM him. And also, if you guys want details for Dreamfest, which is next week, I know that Dan Martell is going to be speaking. And oh, you have another badass speaking as well. What's her name?
Erica Kramer.
Erica Kramer. I think there's a lot of people in here who will love her. She's
Yeah.
Aussie, right? I think
She's
she's
she lives in
she's
Australia,
confident.
but yeah, big confidence queen. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
confidence queen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think.
She's like American and Puerto Rican.
Okay.
But lives in Australia. But we have, I think, 15 different speakers. Dan Martell is a speaker. I'm doing a few sets on obviously a really deep dive into mindset, transformational change, but then business as well. We have money experts, we have health experts, AI experts. We have someone who won the school games winner. We have a lineup this year like fucking crazy. So, and the cool thing is, it's virtual. Now it's
Crazy.
virtual. So it's yeah, people can get a ticket from anywhere. I think we're selling virtual for like $40 for 2 days. It's just stupid.
Oh wow. Comment Dreamfest, guys. Dreamfest will send you the link. One more question. What would be your top three strategies if someone was wanting to build like their social media audience or brand online?
Mm. So number one, you'd want to figure out who you actually want to attract. So if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Yeah, you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So you want to figure out who do you actually want to attract, and then who do you not want to attract. So perfect example for me, I don't know where you live, but here on the Gold Coast where I live, there's a big scene of like the spiritual vibe sort of people who just want to meditate and do nothing but hope that their business is going to grow. And I hate working with them. I love them, but I don't like working with them. And I'm very spiritual myself, but I believe you can access more spirituality when you integrate through the proper consciousness levels. And some people they don't do that properly. That's okay. So I just made a decision like I just don't want to work with those people. I don't want to work with the people who are like, I just want it to happen for me. I'm gonna trust the universe. No, no, no. I'm gonna give you a fucking plan. Follow the plan. Right? I want to work with people like that. So my content, I will polarize against those people sometimes. I will take the piss sometimes out about spiritual purposely, right? So some of my content, I'll be somewhat polarizing. So if you figure out who you want to speak to and who do you not want to attract, and create content that these people are going to love and these people are not going to love. And if you're not polarizing, like if you really want to break through the noise, you got to create some polarization somehow. Some of the biggest brands on the planet have done that. Let's look at really far on one side of the spectrum. Two people that as soon as I mention their names, everyone's going to have an emotional reaction to it. Some people will love them, and some people will hate them. One's Andrew Tate, and the other is Donald Trump. Okay, why do people have an emotional reaction? There was people who didn't vote Trump in the election, and that had nothing to do with the policies going to put in place, but everything to do with the fact they hate him, which is interesting. So, and there's people who voted for him that had nothing to do. I don't know what he wants to put in place, but I love him. Okay. And this because these two people are extremely polarizing, and they're probably on. I don't think you can get any further on the spectrum of polarizing than those two people. So, what you need to do in order to have a lot of people actually really love you and side with you, you've got to piss off a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be like them, but I'm saying that's them. I can't think of anyone worse than Andrew Tate who shows the absolute polarization of his view on the world. Like it's crazy. But then let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Someone who's also really polarizing that people probably wouldn't know. Jay Shetty. How is Jay Shetty polarizing? He's such a loving man, beautiful eyes, beautiful voice. Well, ask this for a second. Think about this. He came out in America, which was a very heavily religious sort of country, very Christian, a lot of Mormons. And he said, you can meditate and you can be a monk and you can practice spirituality, which is a complete other religion. And in some religions, some extreme, I know some, they don't meditate. They think meditation is actually bad for you. You can access the devil and blah, blah, blah. So he came out in a country that was very religious and said, hey, you can actually be mindful. And that's still polarizing. He wasn't coming out and attacking the other side. However, he was coming out with a very strong view saying, this is the new way. And he wasn't afraid to have people tear him down. Right. So he's an example of still being polarizing, but doing it in a loving, authentic way where he didn't have necessarily people trying to hate him and kill him.
Hmm.
But I hope people get that example. So if you don't polarize, if you're not for something, then no one will be for you. Okay, because they'll be like, oh, you're just for everything. Okay. Even another example, you can look at Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi, from a branding point of view, he's actually branded as the everyday man. Psychologically, there's 12 different branding archetypes. He's the everyday man with his colors, his fonts, but also look how he dresses. He dresses in an ugly flannel, a t-shirt, and a hat and Crocs. Just like it literally looks like he's about to do yard work. Okay. Um, but the thing is, so what he does is he resonates to the everyday person. Okay. So what he does, and I saw him the other day on his live stream. He goes, "Oh shit." He goes, "Oh wait, I wasn't meant to cuss." I was like, "Oh my God." Like he said, shit's a swear word. So he speaks to you every day where he's even very mindful of the words he uses because he doesn't want to swear. He doesn't want to do anything. So he doesn't polarize. But who he polarizes against is everyone who doesn't work like a maniac. So he's very strong. If you follow Hormozi, you follow him because he's got a strong work ethic. works hard, and he's not about the freedom life. He's not about a balanced life. He's not about any of that. And so you either, if you're not with that, then you don't resonate with him. But if you're for that, you resonate, and that's fine with him as well, right? So you got to pick who you're for and who you're not for. That'd be my first thing. My second thing would be, um, you gotta just put out a lot of content, right? Put out content every single day because I can tell you what's gonna work for me, not necessarily gonna work for you. Because what you're gonna notice is the content's changing every single day as well. But if you start putting out content enough of it to these people, you're gonna start to find trends. What do they love? What do they not love? Find things that they love, double down, do more of those things. And the last thing I'd say is speak to people's unconscious mind. So we've got to start to build a system in their brain. So this is a system I created a long time ago that is 5 areas. So let me try to remember them. This is really the neuromarketing behind it. Number one, you got to create content that's valuable. Okay. So educate or entertain. It's about 40% of your content. Okay. It's going to be valuable. The second one, you need to build authority. This is the second one, right? So you got to demonstrate that you're actually an expert in what it is you're talking about. And you might be thinking, but I've just started. I'm not an expert. Yes, you are. Stop downplaying yourself. Demonstrate how you are the expert in that subject matter. I see authority. The next one is take a stance. Like I said before, so if you're not polarizing, if you're not actually standing up for something, then people aren't going to resonate with you because they'll think you stand with everything. So if you don't stand for something, you stand with everything. If you stand for everything, no one's going to resonate with you. So value authority, take a stance. Next one is why. Okay, so why do you actually do what you do? And let me try to think of this last one. I always forget it. Authority, value, take a stance. Why? Relatability. So put out some content that makes you somewhat relatable. So don't be afraid to just put stuff out that shows your mistakes. Show that you're human. And people will see that and go, shit. Because people don't actually love people who look perfect. It's a cognitive bias. If you can actually show that you also have some flaws, people will trust you more.
People don't love people who look perfect. So good. I hope you guys are writing all this down. Like, take notes, write it down. Comment Hypno, comment Dreamfest. Like, this has just been so, so good. You dropped a lot, like a lot. Any like just final, just to wrap it all up, to sum it up, any final key takeaway or mindset shift that you really just want to leave people with?
Hmm. Look, I'd say, look, the number one thing you can do if you're in this group, you're in this group because you're committed to something so much bigger than yourself, whether it be for yourself, your legacy, your family, or to really make impact. And if you're committed to growth at times can be hard. It can feel like you're doing it all by yourself. It can feel like, you know, if you have some sort of growth, then you keep doing what you've always done. You gotta just keep getting the same results. And sometimes you need it to keep that next level, that next level. So I love that they're all in this group because the point I'm trying to make is number one thing for committed people to keep transforming is to be in the right environment because nothing is going to shape because based off everything I talked about, if you really want to, because I can give you the mindset stuff, but I want to give you the fast track because if you really want to change your results based off what I said, you got to look at the base level. You got to change your identity. The fast way to change your identity is to change your environment. This is why I will always, always, always be paying to be in rooms with other people that are where I want to be or around other people that are going where I want to go. Because what's going to happen is these people are going to share their values and their beliefs with me, like energetically. This stuff picks up. There's been so many studies done where you can get an underperforming person put next to a high performing person and their productivity increases. Okay, just because being around other people that are doing more and amounting to more growth also rises you up. Okay, because if you're out there by yourself, the smallest bit of wind can blow your fire out. But if you're around the right people, they can reignite you. And this is what you really, really need. This is really why I don't need to run Dreamfest. To be honest, Dreamfest is a dumb revenue decision for me. Okay. If I put in all the same money, time, energy, bandwidth into that I put into Dreamfest into my business, would probably make 4 times what we make at Dreamfest, at least. But I do it because this was the event that I wish I had when I was starting out. This is the event that I wish I found earlier in life. If I found something like this where I could go and get around amazing people, meet strangers, leave as family, and learn from experts for pennies on the dollar, have a lot of fun at the same time. I think I'd be a lot further ahead. So Dreamfest is kind of like my legacy event that we run every single year. We have no signs of slowing down or stopping. And because I genuinely believe like every product I have, I create because I genuinely believe that if we had more of this in the world, people would be more happy and successful. And that's kind of where it came about. So yeah, environment's the fastest way. So keep making sure that you're around the right people. Plug into this group. I don't know how active people are in this group, but they should be more active. But then one of the things that have completely just transformed my life is being at in-person events or like being at events as much as I possibly can because that's where you get that one nugget, that one shift. So yeah, if they I'd absolutely invite them to come along to Dreamfest. It's gonna be amazing. And yeah, and I hope to see you there. At least get you on virtual. Let's get you on virtual.
I love that. We are rewired in the room. I'm gonna. I don't know if I can make this happen. I really want to come to Dreamfest, but we also have an event on next week as well. But if you guys want to go to Dreamfest with me, very possibly, maybe just comment me below. I'm like speaking before properly looking at my schedule, but maybe I might be able to make it work. So just comment me if you also want to go with me, but comment Dreamfest. There's virtual tickets too. So if you're international, if you're not local, do that. And then just like, thank you. Thank you, Morgan. This was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. I wish I could see the comments. I wish I could see. You have to show me some screenshots later.
We will
So
add you. We will add you. I see a lot of comments saying Dreamfest and hypno. I see a lot of hypno comments.
so they
Yeah.
if they just DM me on Instagram instead, that way you
Yeah.
don't have to send 1,000 links to people. But if they DM me on Instagram, send my Instagram in there, Morgan T. Nelson,
Yeah.
and
We'll do.
DM me there, guys, and that's where you'll get it. And you can let Sarah get back to revenue driving activities for her own business.
Oh, Morgan,
Um,
it looks like Riley is like all over it. He's like, "Hey guys, Riley here from
oh,
Team Morgan." And we got some virtual event attendees. So
oh,
super
amazing.
excited. Yeah.
Amazing. I love you. Thanks so much for bringing me in here. If I can ever do anything to support you guys again, you let me know.
Thank
I'm
you.
here
This
for
was
you.
super valuable. Peace and love, guys. Bye. All right, we are not live in Facebook.